Is everyone back? I lost you for a second.
So Shannon just started the meeting recording, which
Okay.
we are doing.
Okay.
And I think this is a new Teams function. It just had everyone's cameras go away, and I think you have to agree to have your image
Oh, that must
used
be
in the
it.
recording. I think that's brand new. So I think a lot of you, if you don't want to have your image recorded, that's totally fine. But if you do, it's so nice to see your faces. If you can give permission, then we can see you. And we only record the meetings so that folks who, couldn't come today because it didn't work for their schedules can listen later if they'd like to. But it will be publicly shared on our website. So good. I see some faces popping back. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for getting us started there, Shannon, with the technology. It's always evolving and sometimes a challenge. Hopefully, my internet holds out. I live kind of in an area where it's fairly unpredictable. But anyway, um, let's get started. Thank you all for being here. If you don't know, I'm Susan Alexander from Mullenmore LLC. I'm the consultant that's working on this project with the Department of Environmental Conservation. That's Ann Bajor and Shannon Shawkat, and also Sarah Hobson, many of you know, and Chris Beeling. They're also on this team, so to speak, from the Department of Environmental Conservation side. We are in our fourth forum. Will be our last one under the current contract, the current grant award that we have. And then the good news is that they're going to extend the grant. So EPA money will be flowing through the DEC, and that new grant cycle will start up somewhere around the fiscal year, I believe, around October 1st. We'll be kind of finishing up everything that we set out to do with this first year. And that's really exciting that we have an extension, because we've only begun to kind of scratch the surface and begin like a full-on engagement of all the people who are involved in the repair, reuse, and share space. We know there are a lot more people who could be involved. We just don't necessarily know how to get a hold of them. So we're going to be continuing to work on bringing this network together, adding people to the listserv, adding people to the directory. Couple of things that you'll see I put in the chat. There's a link to the Department of Environmental Conservation website, which has sort of a summary of everything that we've been doing this past year in terms of these forums that we've been holding, newsletters that we've been sending out, and that's a great resource. There's also attached to that a directory. So if you would like your business or your organization listed in that directory that's within the repair, reuse, and share space, that's the place to go to get started. So yay, excited that we have some additional funding coming, and we will be spending part of today looking for your input as to how we can better serve the network and incorporate that into part of the scope for the next grant round. The other thing that's really amazing that's been happening just in this year, that to me it's kind of like serendipitous that the timing that this grant has become available and that the folks at the agency have been really excited and putting a lot of energy and effort into reuse, repair, and share, is that there's a trajectory. We see a lot more happening in the press. We see more and more states coming online with their programs. And now the international community has developed a reuse symbol. And I put a link to that symbol, I think. If not, I will, in the chat, so that it's there, so that you can see. So I think what's really important, and yet we're all working together similarly, on some of the goals of resource conservation in terms of recycling and reuse. But I think it's really important to separate those two in some parts of our conversations, because reuse and recycling are very different vehicles by which we, conserve resources, reuse things versus recycle things. And so the international community has come up with its own distinct logo, the reuse, that I guess it's supposed to be purple, just to differentiate between green for, recycling, or blue, whatever people are using, and then trash and composting. Right now, it's really targeting the packaging industry, and that there are some really strict standards, which is good, that go along with using this symbol and being able to apply it. But we should know that it's out there, and the link will take you to all the information that you need to know if you're interested in. And I don't know how they allow for it to be used in branding, but the differentiation between recycling and reuse is really only going to make the reuse, repair, and share community that much stronger and identify it as its own unique programming and efforts. So that's the grant, that's the logo. And Anne, I don't know, do you want to talk about the grants? I think that's a
Oh,
really other exciting thing that you're probably more versed in.
yeah. So I know I talked about it at the conference that the department was able to set aside $40,000 for the first Reduce Reuse pilot grant program, and it's right now working its way through our business office. I hope we'll able to announce it next month. And we tried to keep the application really simple, and we're going to be giving out grants as small as $3,000 up to $10,000. So swimmies, businesses, nonprofits, schools, universities are all eligible to apply. So I encourage all of you when it comes out to take a look at the grant and consider applying. That's about it. So, and just wait for questions until the grant comes out, because that'll hopefully answer your questions. And if you have questions, then we can answer them.
So yeah,
So
be thinking
thanks.
about how you may want to use some of those grant dollars to help launch something that you're doing or expand. I think it's really exciting, and if correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time reuse grants have been issued by the state of Vermont. Lots of
Yeah.
recycling grants, lots of infrastructure, composting, all wonderful programs, and now it's going to be funding is going to be specifically targeted for reuse and repair. So we're kind of coming full circle. We started this about a year ago. We've had 4 forums. This is our 4th newsletters. And I just wanted, for folks who did not have a chance to go to the conference in April, I just wanted to take a minute and kind of do a quick recap of that. It met our expectations, and in many ways it exceeded our expectations. So we really feel like we're off on a good tangent here with this part of the grant is hosting a once a year in-person network meeting. And we had over 80 people apply. Somewhere around 82, I think, was the official number that I posted. But that didn't also include all the folks from VTC who were working on the repair side. I never had them. They were not, quote, registered. They were just participating, which was amazing. The students did an excellent job. I think they repaired about half of the items that were brought in. The other half that couldn't be repaired were because they needed parts or they just couldn't be repaired. But for the most part, people who left with something repaired or with instructions on what the next step in getting it repaired would be, whether it's, getting a piece from the manufacturer or going back to a code or something that they might have needed for an electronic. We had some terrific sponsors to help us support that, and I'm hoping that we'll have more again next year, because without sponsors, it's hard to bring in people who will participate on like a keynote speaker, or the vendors, the food, of course, which we had amazing meals provided by the technical students, the culinary students at the Randolph Tech Center. We did a survey, and we had about just under 50 respondents. And based on the survey, out of a total of 5, the overall conference was ranked at 4.8. So we consider that wonderful. I know we had some issues with the sound system, and I just went to another conference and the feedback was exactly the same. And I do recognize that unless we're in a facility that is specifically set up for sound, that's always going to be a little bit of a touch and go. And face it, as we get older, hearing becomes a little bit more challenging. And at the same time, I had people saying, could you turn it up? I had other people saying, could you turn it down? So finding that sweet spot is going to be challenging, but we hope to be able to improve on that a little next year. Those are the basic highlights. And I don't know if you haven't, if you didn't get a chance to go, I hope you'll be able to join us next year and see what what we can come up with for programs that are of interest to you, speakers that are of interest to you, the way that the day is set up. I think my only criticism or of whatever the entire day of for myself was that it probably went a little long. We had people there at 8:30 in the morning, and by 2:30, we had more material to cover, but I could see the energy was flagging, my own as well as the group. People had to leave for school buses and daycare and, whatever other life issues they had. So maybe next year it won't be quite as long, but otherwise, I thought we did a fabulous job. I appreciate everyone who came. I appreciate all the speakers. We had some amazing speakers. We had some vendors there, and maybe next year that'll be a similar setup, only grander. So that's it. I just wanted to give you that. Let's see, share the information about the conference. Yes, I will put that on there. I think without further ado then, do we have Greg? I can't see everybody on my screen right now.
Yeah, I'm
Greg
here.
from Generator. Hi, Greg. Good morning. I think we'll start with you if that's okay.
Good morning. Yeah. Thanks for having me. This is our first time kind of participating. And so hopefully I'll share something that's interesting to you guys.
Great. And I'm going to let you do your own introduction. So go right ahead, Greg.
Yeah. So my name's Greg Mano. I'm the Communication and Membership Director at Generator Makerspace. If you guys aren't familiar with Generator, we are an 11,000 square foot makerspace in Burlington South End, just off Pine Street, near where kind of like Zero Gravity and Sandbox and some of the other businesses are on that end. We're basically a makerspace. We're a makerspace, so we basically provide tools and access to tools and training so that people can kind of learn how to use the tools and then independently use those tools to kind of like execute their own projects. We have a metal shop, a wood shop, a jewelry studio, an electronics lab. We also have rapid prototyping tools. So we have a number of different 3D printers, laser cutters, vinyl cutter. We have a sewing studio that includes an embroidery machine, industrial machines, and a variety of domestic machines. And so, honestly, we're engaged in a lot of things just because it really depends on what our members are doing. But in kind of the reuse and repair space, we offer a number of kind of workshops and classes that are kind of tailored to this. Our sewing, we have a sewing maintenance workshop that we work with a local sewing repair gentleman to help. He teaches those classes with us. We offer bike repair classes. Our sewing series has a upcycling and tailoring curriculum. We do furniture. We have a class in furniture upcycling. Then we also do some community kind of events, support and volunteer events. We run with Local Motion and Old Spokes Home and Zero Gravity. We put on a series of free bike and gear repair events during the summer. And we occasionally will have volunteer events. So last year we kind of organized our community to create shower bags for the UVM Cancer Center. And we used donated fabric for that. And we made, just over 800 bags for them over the course of a weekend. And we also have a lot of businesses. Again, a lot of what happens in the reuse and repair area in our community, in our space, is related to our members and what they're doing. And so we have a Jumpstart Business Development Program that runs every year. It's free to the participants. It's 13 weeks long, and they get kind of ushered through the business kind of development process. But that program has generated a number of different kind of businesses that kind of use or upcycle materials for their products, including like wood-fired pizza ovens, Trash Gear Co. by Peter Grunwald. He takes the plastic tops that hold like beer cans and stuff together, and he recycles those into bike fenders and sunglasses. We have another gentleman, Eric Roy, who's trying to figure out what to do with all the 3D printer waste. And so he has a number of ways he grinds that up and turns it into terrain pieces for game boarding and other things like that. In the apparel space, Crescentia Designs, Craven Jewelry, Cherry Pickens. There have been a number of companies that have come through here that work in like upcycling and reusing fabrics and turning it into different products. And so, I mean, nobody should think that we also have a lot of people that work with virgin materials. So we're not necessarily That's not the only thing we do, but we do try and support that. And a lot of and just being in Vermont, a lot of our community is engaged in kind of reuse and upcycling and kind of repairing things that already exist and keeping stuff out of the landfill. So I don't know, a shower. So someone said, what's a shower bag? So I guess some breast cancer patients have these drainage devices, and they have to take a shower. It allows them to put the whatever the components in this bag and support it so they can take a shower hands-free instead of having to kind of balance it. And so apparently one of our members came to us having gone through treatment, and they were given, only a couple of these bags. And so they asked us, we kind of worked with them to kind of organize this volunteer day where we, produced 800 bags from donated materials and then delivered them to UVM. And so they're always in need. So people want to make shower bags. They're really easy to make. I don't know. Yeah. What else are people wondering about, or what else could we share about Generator? I don't know.
It sounds like you do a lot, and I'm immediately thinking of a field trip, seeing if people would be interested in visiting your facility and hands-on. And I know you're not the only makerspace in the state, which I think is it's amazing that it wasn't front and foremost when I started this project to consider makerspaces. And the more I learn about them, the more I recognize that the ability for community members to use equipment that they don't have to go out and buy individually, or that there are ways that people are teaching you how to do your own mending. So sometimes it's hard to find someone in your community who will sew, a zipper and a jacket for you. So I'm always amazed at the amount of creativity and innovation that happens at the Generator space, as well as all maker spaces, and how they, just are very community centric. And I think I get the sense that anybody in the reuse, repair, share world could approach a makerspace and say, "Hey, I have this great idea." Am I wrong? Or
no. I think that's we're here to support the community, and I think that's a lot of the community kind of drives what we do. Whenever we're getting ready to invest in new tools, we're reaching out to our community to see what they need, what they want, and what they'll benefit from. And so, we're really community, like a ground up community driven organization, because we survive on kind of memberships. Like to use our space, you have to have a membership, a monthly membership or a day pass. And then you also have to be kind of certified to use the tools that we offer. But it's really, without the members and without that community needing what we're offering, we just wouldn't be able to be here. So we're always kind of like open to new ideas, looking for ways to engage. Like the community, the bike and gear repair events that we've been doing in the summer, started off as a way for us to let people know we exist, because we are kind of tucked away in Burlington. A lot of people don't know about us, even though we have 12,000 square feet here and just off Pine Street. And it's been really good. It's turned into this really wonderful thing where we brought in a lot of other businesses to kind of help with us. And in our first repair event this year, we fixed over 100 bikes at the one event. And I think in the follow-up ones, we've done between 60 and 80 bikes. And then on the gear repair side, we work with Sandbox, and some of our members are participating in their gear repair. And that is also, there's a steady stream of business there that's helping people keep their gear in good use, instead of throwing it out and buying something new. So we're always, and then we try to encourage people to learn the skills themselves. Like these events, we're doing it for them, but we're there to showcase kind of the tools that we have available here and the classes that we have available, so that people can learn to do these things on their own, or maybe even turn it into a business if that's if they really enjoy doing it. So.
Yeah, I think it's a great entryway for people if they want to just think about getting into a repair business, but not have to invest in all the tools up front and learn from someone else. And we have heard over and over again in this past year that finding the skill sets for those things that need to be repaired is really challenging. So the training's great. Looks like Corey has a question. Do you want to go ahead, Corey?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. It's great to have you here. I'm up at the University of Vermont in the Office of Sustainability, and we just launched a reuse and repair hub here on campus. Well, I should say technically it hasn't even been launched yet. We got the funding for it, and we're in the process of putting it together, hoping to launch it this fall for this fall semester. And so I'd love to connect with you offline because we're going to be looking basically to do what you're doing, but bring some experts here on campus for the folks who, surprisingly, a lot of students don't always navigate their way off campus. We have about 5,000 students when we're at full capacity who, despite the relative ease of navigating the GMT system, won't make their way down to Pine Street, even though right across from where you're located is Lake Champlain Chocolate. You can get some free samples. So be sure and check that out. So I'd love to connect because we're currently looking for a couple of instructors as we're looking to lay out our fall semester in terms of our workshops and classes.
Yeah, please get in touch. We have a whole community, depending on what you're looking for. I mean, we'd be happy to connect you with individuals within our community that do work. We're always looking to connect people, our members, with job opportunities and other opportunities. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
And Corey did pop your information. The generator website is in the chat for anybody who wants to follow up some more. Any other questions or thoughts for Greg? I think it's amazing. I know. We have another question coming on. There's Gabriella. Go ahead, Gabriella.
Hi there. Good morning. Sorry if my connection is weird. I put a couple of things in the chat, but it doesn't look like they're sending for some reason. I wanted to check with you, Greg, because I know there are some local generator maker spaces in Addison County that work with libraries to do passes. So the libraries will pay for a pass, and then anybody who's a person who has a library card at that library can go and use their services. Is that something that Generator Makerspace currently has?
We don't currently run any kind of partnerships. We are always looking to open to exploring opportunities and just figuring out how that works and operationalizing it. But yeah, we're open to working with community partners and exploring those opportunities. I mean, we work with some local schools to try and allow them. And so, I mean, I guess on the membership side, it's just a matter of figuring out how to get people in, because a lot of our tools there aren't necessarily staff available all the time to kind of support people that aren't trained to use a tool. And so, generally the way our environment works is that someone comes in, there's an onboarding process for membership, and then each kind of like shop that we have and or specific tool has its own training or certification. And once you're kind of gone through that training, then you can come in and use the space independently and use the tools you're trained on. And so because our places also isn't very locked down, so we utilize the honor system for a lot of what we do. And so we try to, we're a little bit careful about who comes in and who has access to what, just because we have our metal and wood shops definitely have a lot of tools that, if used improperly, could lead to people getting injured. So trying to minimize the risk of injury. But yeah, we would be glad to connect and learn more and see what we can figure out. We are always trying to give people more access to our space and figuring out the best way to do that and to minimize the amount of friction and effort that is required. But just because engaging with our space requires a little bit of effort because of the onboarding process and because of the certification needs. And so any way we can kind of minimize that and make it easier for people to engage with us, we're always looking for, we're always ready to explore that.
Gabriella, thanks for bringing up the libraries. They are a very useful resource in this reuse world. Not all libraries have a niche, lending of tools and things, but a lot of them do. So check with your library before you go out and buy that Elmo cake pan that you're only going to use once for a 2-year-old's birthday party. Okay, one more question. Looks like we have time for John. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious, Greg, how you monetize the program. Do you charge a membership fee, or is it a per training area, or how does that work?
Right. The way we're a variety of things. We offer workshops that are kind of like independent experiences for people where you might come in and make a stool, or you might come in and carve a spoon, or it's a standalone experience where you kind of come in, take a class, and you walk away with something at the end of it. And those are for people that are community members. They're just interested in learning the skills involved that are included in the workshop. They don't necessarily have to be on a membership pathway or interested in membership to participate in our workshops. We also offer Then we offer tool trainings, and tool trainings are kind of our internal kind of like certification classes. And they're basically, you're not necessarily learning a ton of skills in it. You're just learning how to use the tool safely and how to use it within our space. And so the expectation around with our tool trainings is that you'll come in and like, we'll show you how to use our table saw, but then through membership or through day pass usage, which also those have costs. Those are where we're also making money. You can come in and then practice on it and develop experience, build familiarity, and build comfort with using the tool. And with our tool trainings, there isn't a test at the end of it. Like you go through the class, you are certified. And then, our community is here. We have shop leads and staff that are available to kind of look over your shoulder while you're doing something. Like if you come in a week later after taking our woodshop training and you're not feeling super comfortable jumping on all the tools right away, and you want someone to come kind of like look over your shoulder, we're happy to do that. And we can find people to kind of like provide that support, because a lot of our tools are intimidating. They are dangerous if you use them properly. And so we're always trying to help people build that confidence in those tools. And that only comes through use and repetition. And so we're always trying to get people back in here to use them. But as far as monetization goes, yeah, like memberships, day passes, we give it to people that have like their project load is more kind of intermittent. And then we offer our certifications have a cost, our workshops have a cost. And we also run a lot of programs. So we do a lot of youth programming and partner with schools on a variety of things. We have summer camps and after school programming as well.
So if we did a repair fair and we were short one or two instructors, could we call you and say, we need these folks, and you might be able to provide them for a fee?
100%. Actually, there might not be any fee for that. I mean, ideally, if you were if you needed a few people to help out in an event, we could connect you with our community members, and then you would work that out independently with them. And then some of our staff might be willing to participate as well. And again, maybe just on a volunteer basis. We wouldn't necessarily, I guess it would depend on the arrangement, but we also offer fabrication services, so we can create and make stuff for people. But when jobs come in, we'll first try to connect those jobs with one of our members, and let them kind of like take that work. And then if our members aren't available or don't have the capacity to do it, then we can take it on. But we're always really trying to connect our community with opportunities to kind of engage with other businesses or get their skills out in front of other people. So we're kind of a very member first kind of organization.
Something tells me your phone's going to start ringing off the hook, Greg, because that's exactly what people are looking for from many meetings I've sat in on. There was a question in the chat. If you are comfortable putting your email in the chat, Greg, so people can follow up with you, that would be great. Oh. And stay on the forum with us. But I really would love to introduce Ariel from 5th Season Canvas and hear about what she's been doing. And she has a really interesting need for yoga mats, used yoga mats. Go ahead, Ariel.
Hello, I'm Ariel. I am 5th Season Canvas. I'm based out of Middlebury. I grew up here. I moved back here and have been doing the bag making thing full-time for about 3 years now. 5th Season bags are made to champion natural materials. I'm using nylon thread, unfortunately, because there isn't good cotton thread available. But beyond that, I'm using cotton fabrics, wooden toggles, metal hardware, wool, and I'm sourcing as much of that as I can within the state. I have the toggles that I use are made for me at Maple Landmark, the toy manufacturer here in Middlebury. I'm using some Johnson Woolen Mills wool, and as I'm designing the bags so that they're designed to be repaired from the beginning. So I'm not using zippers because zippers break. So I have a lot of roll top bags. This is like a G-hook roll top. I'm using wax canvas. It's sort of throwback material meets kind of modern design is the idea. So I'm drawing a lot of cues from old military bags, just looking at what has been designed to last and how I can use that in designing these new bags. This is a cotton velvet fabric. I'm using cotton webbing. I was using hemp webbing, and I've just had a terrible sourcing problems. So I would like to get back to that, but using cotton currently. And then this bag actually, because the wax canvas, it gets warm and it gets soft. So to give this bag some structure, I'm using like an upcycled yard sign in here. So it just snaps out. And it's just,
That's great.
And so I've just been collecting these locally, but this is something I have an ongoing need for.
So are those like political signs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. After the elections, people are always asking us what to do with them. So
Yeah, I know.
we won't inundate you, but it's good to know that there are reuse options for them.
Yeah. And then this is a product that I make called the Pat Mat. It's designed to go in a bike basket, and then it toggles in with these wooden toggles. This is where I'm using the yoga mats. This particular one there's 2 in here because they're thinner mats, but it's like a fabric envelope with the mat inside. So you put this in your bike basket, you can take it out and then sit on it. You can also use it when you're camping. You can take the yoga mats out and use it as like a doormat for your tent. And then you can stuff this with a shirt or a jacket and use it as a camping pillow. And I also am working on a line of these to use canoeing as well.
Great.
And so right now, I've kind of maxed out Middlebury's yoga mats. So I've been trying to figure out a good way to source more mats. I've had a couple studios seem more interested in kind of giving me whatever mats have been sitting around for a while. They seem less interested in like an ongoing collection program. So trying to sort that. And I also, I use these leather toggles and leather labels that I'm making just from the offcuts, just from the local. We have a shoe, he actually doesn't do repair. He's a shoemaker here in Middlebury. And so I get his scraps, but I'm kind of using all of his scrap as well. Anything that he puts out, I take. So I do have an ongoing need for small leather pieces as well. And I'm sure there's other things that I could use and just kind of seeing what's out there and what needs to kind of find a home. I don't want to, I'm trying to find a balance between the reuse piece and the materials that I'm using are new materials.
Just curious, what is your need? Like, how many yoga mats a year do you think you would burn through? Like, how can, and then I would just throw it out to folks there to anybody has suggestions for how to have that need met.
Yeah, that is a good question. I don't know. I could get you some better numbers. It depends on the mats. Like I got some really good ones from the YMCA, and those I didn't have to use double thick. But I'd say, I mean, this past year it's been more than 100.
Wow. It looks like Mel has a question or maybe a suggestion. Mel, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I had a question. What, I guess, current state of yoga mats, and are there certain materials that you accept or don't accept?
Good question.
Yeah.
Most of the standard thin, kind of these mats.
Okay.
Like dirty is okay because I scrub them. It's better if they're not, like sometimes they get really bitty, like when they're sort of shedding bits. That's less ideal because usually the whole mat is kind of done at that point. But if there are spots that are bad, I mean, easily cut around them. And then it's the best, really the best ones are like this thicker rubber mat, because this is really lightweight. But something like, I know people use for working out, they use those like horse mats, like something like that is too heavy, I would say.
Okay.
And I've had people drop off a few weird yoga mats made out of who knows what. Like some of them, one of them looks like it's got this weird plastic seal over it, and that's but I don't get a lot of those.
Yeah, so I would suggest if you have it, it sounds like you checked out like a YMCA, which is great. For those of you who don't know, I'm also a CrossFit coach up here in Hyde Park. And so we have mats and stuff that we go through. Depending on the material, would be happy to kind of talk about that too with you. And so I don't know, down in Middlebury, some other ones down there. I know some Green Mountain CrossFit, which is in Berlin. Berlin or Barry, to me, they feel the same. But somewhere over there, that might be an outlet too, and other gyms like that. Because I know that they go through some material. It might depend a little bit what you're looking for. And then I also would love to connect with you outside of here too. I do have a good friend who does a lot of leather work and stuff too. And I'm sure she has scraps and stuff that would be happy to help kind of give to you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other questions? Observations, comments? One thing I hear often in our community is that aggregating and transporting are often barriers to collecting items. So, if you're in Berlin, and you've got something, but your facility is in Middlebury, meeting up that time that's going to take to get back and forth. And, there's something to be said for sort of the spoken hub type collection and aggregation system, which, in my wildest dreams, we will get there someday with reused materials. But I do know that one organization called Bunny Bin, and I don't know if she's on here today, she just says, I will be in the parking lot in St. Johnsbury on this date at this time. Register with me so I know that you're coming. And it's a one-day. She takes the secondhand pre-loved stuffed animals and rehabilitates them, sews them, cleans them, gives them little new outfits, whatever, and sells them back online instead of having to buy brand new. And that's how she kind of solved the problem of picking up one here, one there, was to just have kind of an aggregation point and a date, and they're advertised. And those events are things that we have helped to sort of let people become aware of through this listserv. But there's, other ways, obviously, social media and advertising. And I was just thinking about if you paired that with a place that sold yoga mats, it'd be like, time to refresh your yoga mat. Come buy a new one at Susan's store, yoga mat store, and turn in your old ones. I don't know. That might just be a way to solve aggregation and collection without having to chase long distances for individual items. That's my 2 cents.
As you know, it's one of the challenges of the state where it's like everybody's concentrated in certain zones, obviously, but there's still not that many people in each spot to
exactly. Doesn't really help when someone up in Canaan, Vermont, next to the New Hampshire Canadian border, has exactly what you need, but you're in Bennington. So yeah. Kelly, it looks like you have a question or a suggestion. You want to go right ahead?
Yeah, I have a suggestion. I was at the reuse workshop or the conference. So this is my first meeting. So I was invited by Zach from the Habitat for Humanity. They're opening a new store here in Berlin, Barry, on the Barry Montpelier Road. But that's why I'm here today. So I'm just giving a little introduction there. But my idea was, I know we were saying there's going to be grant money coming forward, but I don't know I'm just like kind of thinking of everything that we've talked about and how there's like solid waste district management and like we have a new one here in Berlin and I'm sure they are using all their space, but wouldn't it be cool if like somehow there was money to create a little space or like a storage area and then like say this person needs yoga mats, like, and they know that because like you created this digital document and or it's like posted on the wall and people are like, oh, I need to look, what do they take here? Oh, this person needs this. And then there's like a little space where that could go and the person is able to pick it up there. Or, someone could like volunteer, like, I'm driving to Middlebury. Like I used to go there all the time. So it wouldn't be like a big deal for me to drive by this place, throw some stuff in my car and then drop it off. Someone that wants to participate. And I don't know how all that's going to be organized or how the logistics work. It's kind of a grandiose idea, but I guess starting out with making space for things like, I guess maybe that people might need on the other side of the state. Where could that be? Like not just at the gyms, but like the gyms are like, oh, or a spa is like, oh, I know I can bring all these yoga mats here and there's enough space. And then it gets, transferred to the next place or whatever. That's my
Kelly.
grand idea.
No, thank you. That's a perfect segue into what our next conversations are going to focus on. So we are mixing up the agenda a little bit today. I just wanted to let you know, we decided not to have two breakout groups. We have a fairly good turnout, but we don't have so many people that we can all participate. And we had two topics. One was on using the listserv, and the other one is on how can Reuse Vermont serve this reuse, repair, and share community in the future? Like, what would you like to see coming forward? And you guys just hit on a really good problem to solve, which is aggregation and collection and transportation. So, Anne, I'll throw this up to you that we move right into that, and then hoping we have a little bit of time at the end to talk about the listserv and how that can be used. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I was going to respond to Kelly in that what you're talking
Yep.
about already exists in some places and it's called different things like a swap shop or a reuse shed, or maybe some of the solid waste management folks on the call can talk a little bit more about it. But that is something that the new grants could support if SWME wants to put together a proposal to set aside a special shed for a swap. But that is happening. And one of the things, just to now transition to the listserv, I want to put together is a list of all the places around the state where those already exist, so that people know there are these places where you can drop off things or pick up things if you need them. There have been some issues with them, and there are reasons why some locations do not support them anymore. And I'm not going to go into that now, but they still are out there. And then the listserv, we wanted to let you know that we wanted to be more active, and I'm going to send out just kind of some guidelines to let everybody know that it is moderated. So, if there are some crazy posts coming in, we won't accept them, but we do encourage people, if you have events you want to share or lots of things that you need or things that you want to give away to a good home, those are perfectly acceptable posts. And if it gets to be that there is too many emails going back and forth, or it's not like a searchable, easily searchable way to get information, we are considering maybe doing some kind of a Facebook group, but we know some people aren't so interested in being on Facebook, but you don't really have to use it to just check the Facebook group. So that's coming. And since we don't have a ton of time, we'd rather spend more time talking about the future of the network. But just stay tuned. There'll be a little more information about the listserv coming, and we encourage you to share. Like Ariel, you could put a post up there about looking for yoga mats. So any questions about the listserv? Or Brad, did you have a question about that? I see your hand up.
Yes, I was going to suggest, what if a website were created very similar to Facebook marketplace where people could list things that they have to give away for reuse or repair. And if that could be combined with, a photograph and what town they're from, so that you could search, hey, I'm looking for such and so, I'm looking for used yoga mats, and I'm willing to travel, 50 miles. You can put that search criteria in, and if there's any listings for yoga mats, or there could also be a section for, I am looking for yoga mats that are used for some projects. If that could be combined with the sheds you were talking about, I'm familiar with them. One of the problems of having a shed like that, a transfer station, is people tend to leave a lot of crap, real junk, that, and somebody's got to kind of monitor
Right.
that and then throw
Right.
stuff out. Whereas if you registered this on the app or the website, an app would be even better, you can use on your phone. It has to be registered or listed on the website in order to be able to put it in the shed. And then
Right.
that's one way you could connect, or you connect directly, meet up, in a local parking lot or whatever to exchange.
No, I think those are all great ideas, and we would hope someday to be able to provide something like that. So kind of stay tuned for ReuseVT 2.0 and 3.0.
I am curious
Yeah.
though, are there any barriers that make it so people don't use Facebook Marketplace in that way? Because what you just described is Facebook Marketplace, right? And so that platform already exists and is available and is established. We at the DEC don't have the ability to create a platform such as that. That's interactive where you'd be able to send messages to someone and set up a meeting time, but Facebook already offers that in an app form. So I'm curious, what about that service that's already available that would make it that you would need something different?
So I'm familiar
Shannon,
with Facebook Marketplace, and one of the issues is, yeah, people do list things for free, but you would have to set up the parameters of, I'm looking for stuff that's free, and I'm looking for stuff that's near me. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily would do that. And it's not really promoted as a place to exchange things for free or reuse or repair. So Facebook Marketplace is across the country, and I don't even know even the world. It's not just for Vermont. So, I mean, if I go searching for something, I often get items from other states listed. So you got to be able to screen that out. Facebook Marketplace could work, but they would need to modify it, I think,
I
to make
think
it
the
easier to use.
same, yeah, the same thing exists to some extent on our Front Porch Forum.
Front Porch
And
Forum.
right, anyone can join Front Porch Forum if you have a local address. And yet I can see where there could be some benefit to something that is strictly in the reuse and repair arena and not marketplace has cars and houses and as you said, there's some screening to be done. And I think if it was unique in a way, it sort of elevates the importance of reuse and repair by having it be a distinct entity. But that said, I think they're all good options, and I think we should all be utilizing them as much as possible. And someone just also mentioned Free Cycle and Buy Nothing groups. There's a lot out there, but that's the thing. There's like a lot of little ones spread out all over. So all great thoughts and comments. Maybe someday, Ariel, there'll be a national refresh your yoga mat day, and there'll be like one day where everybody collects them. Because that's the thing, getting one this week and 4 weeks from now, that's a little tough for a business owner, right? You want to be able to pick up 10 or 15 at a time in one discrete place and not be running around. So we'll continue to hopefully send ideas. And if you want to put your information in the chat, you're welcome to. Otherwise, people can share that information, as Ann said, on the listserv. So thanks. We have about 10 minutes left. Yep, Joyce, good question. It does not. The Vermont Business Materials Exchange, it does not exist anymore. And that's exactly what that was set up to do, business to business, sharing of what one industry wanted to offload and another industry might be interested in. Ann and I have talked to a company in Canada that ran that for a while, I believe, and they are still trying to incorporate those types of programs like, university to university or school to school, things that they all have in common, like desks or bunk beds or futons, whatever. And yeah, we've had a lot of people asking about that as well. Go ahead, Kelly.
Just real quick, we have, I work at the Central Vermont Chamber of Commerce, so we have businesses who are trying to, see if anybody needs free items, and they reach out to us, and then we reach out to other people. Like, when they
Interesting.
closed Big Lots, they had all those fixtures, they needed, they wanted someone to take them before they went to the dump, and all kinds of things. So the chambers of commerce are kind of like a spot where that's happening, but not like a grand scale. So maybe that's an idea, once again, for like grant money, or like somebody to come up with an idea of how do we find places that already exist, like chambers of commerce, or somebody who can make those connections and like have them house like a digital flip book that has a list of things in it. And when somebody wants it and you click on it, then it's gone, and nobody has to call somebody to be like, oh, do you still have that? Because that's one of the things that's a problem with like Facebook Marketplace or Front Porch Forum. Sorry, somebody already picked it up. And it's kind of like a lot of this back and forth, and you don't have to do a lot of chasing things. So I don't know, that might be something to think about. I don't know where to start
Thanks.
there. Just another
Yeah.
grand idea.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate it. Looking at our clock, we're pretty limited. I've got about 6 or 7 minutes left on my clock, and I'd really love to open up the conversation for our second talking point, which is what can we do going forward with this organization as loosely networked together as we are? How do we serve this reuse, repair, and share community better? What would you like to see happening? What are the needs? Obviously, collection and aggregation. We just talked about the use of the listserv, a directory. What else? Give us some, whatever your wildest dreams are, and we may ignore them or we may incorporate them. We'll see what comes up. John's got an idea. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I was just thinking that perhaps we should try to get an article in a mainstream or sort of mainstream media like 7 Days about what we're all about, and see if we could generate a lot more interest from folks that really have that same like-minded thought but don't know where to go. So we could tell them where to go.
You would like that. That's a great suggestion. We will work on that, John. Definitely.
Yeah.
We did get some press early on last year, and the Vermont 7 Days and Vermont Digger both were carrying articles. And I did have a contact from UVM recently who wants to do an article for their school community. So, but I appreciate, getting it right out there in the big papers or big media. I'm not sure what people go to these days. So thanks. What else? Forums, field visits, speakers, pop-ups, just throwing out some words here.
I had another idea. Maybe targeting, like you said, the colleges, like a lot of the seniors in college, or, students that are going to be graduate, they come up with solutions for solving major problems. I don't know. There was something at like Norwich where they're presented with like 10 different things, like a Vermont issue that they can solve. And then their whole like last year project is solving that or trying to come up with an idea. So there
Love
might be, I don't know, grant money would work for that, but like coming up with the app that we want instead of having to use Facebook or Marketplace, or doing the research that, like, what are other countries doing? How do they organize their stuff? What are other states, like compiling that information somewhere for us? Because if we know what everybody else is doing and what works for them, then we don't have to come up with that ourselves.
Awesome, Kelly. Great, great
Who
suggestion.
can do that? Students, they have time. And it works for college credit. Yes.
There you go. Awesome.
Do people like these online forums? Do people want to see more in-person events? I see one nodding head. I can't see as many people anymore.
I mean,
Couple nodding heads.
I like the idea of in-person stuff, but I also understand that it restricts. It's much more
Yeah.
challenging to get people together physically. These online versions tend to be better attended and more accessible, so I definitely think that's nice. I was just going to say about the like getting information in front of people. We're talking about Facebook Marketplace, but we've had a lot of really good luck getting information in front of people by leveraging the like affinity groups. Like Facebook generally, like posting on Facebook doesn't do us any good, but going into different groups, like there's a Burlington group and there are different groups, and like posting in those groups, like participating in those groups has had a fairly high return for us. And then more recently in the last year, we've been using Reddit, and Reddit also has a really high kind of engagement. And for our community specifically, that kind of maker tinkery person, like they're highly engaged on that, and so we've had a lot of really good luck. And again, there are affinity groups on Reddit that are kind of specific to Burlington, specific to different kind of categories. And so I don't know if it would make sense to create your own affinity, like own group, like ReuseVT could have its own forum on, someplace like that. But then you would slowly collect an audience that you would have access to.
Yeah, that's a great idea. John's got his hand up again.
Yeah, just a real quick thing. I wondered if there was a statewide makerspace organization where they talk among themselves, because it would seem like that might be a good network as well to try and get together with.
Right. Yeah. We wish. There was one of the challenges we have is that we are so many different things that nobody identifies as a maker. They identify as a sewist or a woodworker, and so like we're a collection of fragmented communities. And so getting in front of people is communication is one of our biggest challenges, because our individuals are so fragmented and they identify so disparately.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we need to do, is figure out how to make communications work.
Right. Exactly.
Very good.
Alex Eves, welcome. You have your
Hello.
hand up. You have your hand
Hello
up.
from Massachusetts. I'm the only non-Vermonter here, probably. Anyhow, so I think you guys know I'm doing one of my free coffee series events this Sunday in Montpelier at Red Hen Baking Company. But I am more than happy to do a whole series of these, because I personally believe that getting in front of people and meeting them where they're at in public is way more effective than all the online things put together, especially like one of the biggest, easiest impacts we can make is through our coffee cups. And what better way to talk about waste and reuse solutions than over coffee at a coffee shop? So I would love, to do a whole joint series with Reuse Vermont all over the state. And then the other thing, just because I'm having issues, I sent a message to Ariel twice, but it's not going through. And I don't know if she's here, but I wanted to suggest what I do with my t-shirts. She should reach out to some of these yoga mat brands and companies to see if they have any misprinted ones or miscut ones or old ones they can't sell anymore for whatever reason. Because just like with t-shirts, guaranteed these companies have hundreds and hundreds of these sitting in closets all over the country. So.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, I also just wanted to know, I've tried replying a number of times in the chat, but it's not posting. So I don't know if that's, if I assume it sounds like other people are having that issue as well. So
yeah.
I'm happy to be like, there's things like we would happily at Generator, we would happily host in-person meetings. We have a conference room and a flexible space that we can host, up to 80 people. We can
Nice.
do, yeah, we have a newsletter that goes out twice a week. And if people have requests or needs or want to share events or information, you can just let me know. And I'm happy to include that in our Thursday newsletter. There's a lot of, and then if there's an opportunity, I can send information later if it can be distributed. But there are a lot of other questions that I was going to try and answer, but the chat does not seem to be functioning for me.
Yeah, I think we're all having some issue. It must be this new license or something, because it did look a little quirky when we first signed on, but some of it's going through, some of it's not. So it's interesting. It may be maybe a switch. We all have to, just like we had to turn on our own video and camera and microphone, but we'll get to that for the next one, promise. And Mel, one more before we break up. What do you got there, Mel?
Yeah, well, I also was trying to send something in the chat, believe it or not. I was just saying, I think maybe a good kind of like jumping off point would be creating like a private Facebook group in Vermont, because it's a platform that already exists. It could be for like reuse and stuff in Vermont. As someone who works in solid waste, I'm happy to kind of help be a moderator for a group like that. We use Facebook for a lot of our communication and stuff on here, and I would be happy to talk in some other like outreach coordinators from other districts to do it too. I have that effect on people. Alex is on this call. Alex Lacey will do it with me too. Yeah, so
Great.
That could be something that like we could help kind of get started too and get the ball rolling with.
So if any of you have information that you haven't been able to get out there today, you can send it to me and I'll make sure that it gets out, or you can put it right back on the listserv, which Ann is now opening up. We will moderate, so careful what you say, Mel, on that listserv. But just be kind to everyone. Make sure you use, yeah, I'm not going to go back to proper grammar, but appropriate language. And we will do our best to make sure that we're all communicating. This has been great. Certainly appreciate everyone being here today. I know we've lost a few because we are running over. Go out and enjoy a little bit of this blue sky before it goes away. The summer sun is here for a couple more hours anyway. And keep the information flowing. Whatever you want posted, excuse me, shared. All right, my voice is telling me it's time to stop. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming.
Have a good Thursday.